would have guessed that the Buena Vista Social Club, Cuban musicians in their 70s and 80s, after years of obscurity, would suddenly find themselves one of the hottest groups in the world? An honest-to-goodness, Grammy-winning phenomenon. It came as a shock to everyone, to Ibrahim Ferrer especially.
Sorpresa tan grande que yo aún todavía.
This is such a big surprise for me that I really think that I am sleeping still, or I am dreaming, or I am daydreaming.
And who would have guessed that without ever trying, these musicians would turn out to be Fidel Castro's secret weapon in his assault on U.S. political opinion, and Cuba's accidental answer to Elián González. Thanks to chance timing, the shouting match over whether Elián should be sent home to his father in Cuba or stay here in the United States has played loud and shrill opposite the soft seduction of Buena Vista's third American tour. There is a real irony in the stunning comeback of the Buena Vista Social Club musicians. Theirs is the music of pre-Castro Cuba. It is the sound of the society the revolution swept away. It is a sound that has audiences dancing in the aisles wherever the group performs.
We forget about Fidel and the rest of the things, so we're here for music.
It opens a dialogue, hopefully.
Do you consider concerts like these to be a form of diplomacy on the part of breaking down barriers?
Absolutely. I don't think we should close them off because they're communists. I think that's a mistake.
By now, a couple of million Americans have seen the Oscar-nominated documentary that tells the story of the Buena Vista Social Club. They know that in 1997, guitarist Ry Cooder went to Cuba intending to make a recording of West African musicians playing with Cubans. Except that the Africans never made it to Havana.
So we figured we would just go ahead with whoever we could find, and we started asking around, and pretty soon we had a room full of people, including...
As the story goes, Ruben Gonzalez hadn't had a piano in 10 years. Ibrahim Ferrer was shining shoes when they were called in out of the blue to record that first Buena Vista Social Club CD. It has sold 1 million copies in the United States alone, 3.5 million worldwide. They've just recorded CD number 4. Of course, Elián's story is even better known, how the 6-year-old was picked up at sea and then turned over to relatives in Miami.
Just a miracle. God wanted him here for freedom.
How little Elián has become the poster boy for both sides in the tug-of-war between Cuba and the United States, as his father fights to get him back and the Cuban exile community fights to keep him here.
It's ultimately seen in the American public as the Montagues and the Capulets, or the Hatfields and the McCoys, as a family feud that American population doesn't really want to be involved with. And
Cuba specialist Pamela Falk says that in contrast, the Buena Vista Social Club attracts people.
It gets to Americans that aren't otherwise involved in politics, but it is a political message. There's a softer side to Cuba, and there's a cultural side to Cuba.
Omara Portuondo, Ibrahim Ferrer, and Ruben Gonzalez are skittish about politics, extremely careful about the words they choose.
Do you all feel like ambassadors for Cuba?
Yes, in some way we are ambassador, not of Cuba, but we are ambassador of Cuban music. We are representative, not just of our music, but also of our cultural life and the culture of Cuba.
But when it comes to Cuban music, they forget caution and understatement.
People can see Cuban music written in a piece of paper and try to imitate it, but the only way that really sounds Cuban is when a Cuban is playing that music.
To see one of these groups traveling around the United States, portraying itself as nothing but musicians, is really a deception. It's really...
To lawyer Nick Gutierrez, one of the younger, savvier anti-Castro hardliners in Miami, the Buena Vista Social Club has a sinister side.
It is politics because musicians are not independent actors in Cuba. In Cuba today, a musician is simply a government agent or a government employee. Their tours are booked by the government. Their revenues are largely kept by the government. They may keep a fraction of what they make.
It's been said that in the United States, anything having to do with Cuba is political. In Miami, home to 600,000 Cuban Americans, it's more so, even where music is concerned. Take last October, when club owner Debbie Ohanian booked Los Van Van, the most famous dance band inside Cuba, for a concert in Miami.
Leading up to the concert, meetings with FBI, secret police, security measures you cannot believe, SWAT teams.
To the exiles, the event was a provocation, like the KKK marching through a black neighborhood. They consider Los Van Van the official band of Castro's Cuba. That night, they rioted. Ohanian had the Buena Vista Social Club scheduled for a Miami concert. Their agent canceled with this message.
I'm not sending my guys to Miami. It's too dangerous. It's too hostile of an environment.
If they feel strongly, it is because of the pain that has been inflicted by the regime in Cuba.
Gutierrez criticizes how the Miami Cubans go about getting their message across, not what that message is.
How can that regime be compared to, a few boisterous protesters in exile? I mean, it's just so different.
For the Buena Vista Social Club, having the times of their lives, whether they play in Miami is hardly something they get worked up about.
We want the people to enjoy our music. Being in New York, being in Miami, we sing for the joy of everybody.
They have become believers, famous after 40 years of obscurity. They perhaps know better than anybody. It is all just a matter of time. Hush, they sing. If the flowers wake and see me crying, they will die.
Gracias, mi hermano.